I've been doing a lot of tutorials tonight. This is my second to last tutorial that I'm doing for tonight. So cable off for now. We're going to start with the low E as a C. C. G. D. G. B. D. Now we're going to put our capo on the second frets. I'll try to put it as close to the fret as I can so that it can kind of mute the strings a little bit. Alright, so that's going to be your first 4 chord progression. It's going to start out with your ring finger on the 7th fret of the D string. Everything else is played open except the low E. You're going to mute that with your middle finger. Second chord is your middle finger on the 4th fret of the low E, and your ring finger on the 4th fret of the D string. Everything else is played open except the A string. You're going to mute that with your middle finger. The third chord is going to be your index finger on the 2nd fret of the low E string. And then your pinky goes on the 7th fret of the D string. Everything else is played open except the A string. You're going to mute that with your index finger. And then this last chord, you're going to keep your pinky where it is, but you're going to take off your index finger. And you're going to use your index finger to mute the A string. And then this low E string gets played open. And that's it for that. I knew him better, though I don't think there's much he'd want to do. So that's going to be your next chord progression. It's a 3-chord chord progression. So it starts out with your index finger on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th fret of the low E. And then your your ring finger goes on the 10th fret of the D string. Everything else gets played open except the A string. You're going to mute that with your index finger. Next chord is same exact chord shape, except instead of playing it on the 9th fret, you're going to play it on the 4th fret. And the third chord is your index finger on the 2nd fret of the low E, and your ring finger on the 4th fret of the D. Everything else gets played open except the A string. That's get muted with your index finger. Because we fucking hate the A string. connect the first progression with the second progression. I forgot this chord, but I already showed it to you. The last chord in the second chord progression is the last chord in the first chord progression. That one. I hope that makes sense. Alright, back to the second verse now. Another night's impatience in an endless perfect world. The morning bleeds into the golden dream just like before. Tomorrow I'll feel differently, though my mind will be made up. The times that I could buy your love, though I don't think that I have enough. And then it goes back to this. I'm not yours. No, when I mean it, I'm not wasted anymore. So these two chords, I've already showed them to you, but I'm gonna fucking show them to you again, because for clarity's sake. So it's gonna be your index finger on the second fret of the low E, and then your ring finger goes on the fourth fret of the D. Mute the A string with your index finger. And then the second chord is going to be your ring finger on the 7th fret of the D string. Everything else gets played open except the A string. So yeah, those two chords back and forth and back and forth. Jesus fucking Christ, dude, I keep dropping my pick. This part's really fucking fun to play, but it's gonna be difficult. It's not gonna be fun in the beginning because it's the hardest part of the song. So it goes. It's one part. Let me just teach that to you real quick. It's this chord, which is your ring finger on the 7th fret of the D string. Everything else is played open except the low E string. You're gonna mute that with your ring finger. No, sorry, your middle finger. Second chord is your index finger on the 2nd fret of the low E string. And then your ring finger goes on the 4th fret of the D string. Everything else gets played open except the A string. Mute that with your index finger. And then the last chord is exactly like the first chord. No, I'm not going to do that. That's your ring finger on the 7th fret of the D string. And And then mute the A string with your index finger. Everything else gets played up. Fuck me, dude. Ignore that third chord. It's actually not that. I have a more pretty chord for you, but it's really fucking difficult. So if you don't feel like making things difficult for yourself, maybe you should just do this. But I like this chord. So in order to play this chord, you're gonna do your pinky finger on the 7th fret of the A string, and then your index finger goes on the 2nd fret of the D string. Everything else gets played up. Wait. Ah, it's so fucking pretty, man. Anyway. Those last few chords that lead up into the build-up, it's gonna be your middle finger on the 4th fret of the A, and your ring finger on the 4th fret of the D. Everything else gets played open except the low E. You're gonna mute that with your thumb. Next chord is exactly this chord shape, except you're gonna move it up 1 fret. Last chord is going to be your middle finger on the 8th fret of the A string, and then your index finger goes on the 7th fret of the D string, and everything else gets played open. Time to play it to the end for you. Ignore my shitty vocals there. This song is pretty hard to do. If you want an okay take, then listen to the actual cover that I did. This is just for educational purposes. It doesn't need to be perfect. So, that last little stretch of chords there was... You already know this part. But, this... That part is your ring finger on the 7th fret of the D string. Everything else gets played open except the low E string. You're gonna mute that with your middle finger. And this chord is, you're gonna keep your ring finger where it was, and then you're gonna mute the A string with your index finger. notes. That's the best I can do.